crafting a profitable business model. And the whole idea is, how do you move from idea to revenue? Um, how do you design startup that lasts? Because the startup is not generating revenue, the startup is not profitable, then that startup cannot last. So today we're talking about crafting a profitable business model. The first question that we need to ask ourselves is, what is a business model? All right. Um, what is a business model? Most of the time you hear in startup terms, they talk about business model, they talk about, do you have a business model? Is your business model profitable? But what really is a business model? A business model is three things, right? A business model explains how you create, how you deliver, and how you capture value. How you create, how you deliver, and how you capture value as a business, as a company, as a startup, right? It means that this business model has three key elements that every startup or every entrepreneur needs to be able to take into consideration. The first one is value creation, okay? What you make. The second one is value delivery, how you reach and serve your customers. And the third one is value capture. How do you get paid, right? And in terms of business model, it's really about value proposition, value capture, value delivery. Okay, for value proposition, which is what you make, who your customer are, and what you offer them. For value capture is how the proposition and delivery align to return value back to the business, right? And for value delivery is how will you organize the business to deliver on the proposition that you make. So, if you leave here today, you should know that a business model explains how you create, how you deliver, and how you capture value about your business, right? But from today, you should know that when you write your business model, it should show how you create value, it should show how you deliver value, and it should also show how you capture value. And value creation is what you make. Value delivery is how you reach and serve your customers, and value capture is how you get paid. And down this webinar or this workshop, you are going to see these three things in motion. As a startup, you're supposed to have a business model, but that business model has to be profitable, because a great product without profit is a hobby, right? You're doing it for fun. You're not doing it because you are building a business, right? So business model, when you create them for your business, so how your value creation, your value delivery, and value capture, what you make, how you reach and serve customer, and how you get paid. When you design that model has to be profitable, right? And another way to define your business model is your company plan for making a profit, right? Initially, we said that it is how you create, how you deliver, and how you capture value. Another way of explaining that is your company's plan for how you make profit, right? And because your business model has to be profitable, profitability is going to make you to be sustainable. It's going to make you to be scalable, and it's going to build investor confidence to know that this business is going to succeed and this business is going to last. Because a great product without profit is just a hobby. And the last thing for you to know is that revenue is vanity, but profit is sanity, which means that what? You can generate revenue and you are not profitable. The revenue that is generated is equal to or less than the money that you're spending to be able to create value, right? The revenue is not enough to be sane for the business to make sense, you need to make a profit. It means that how you capture value and the way you make money and the money you make has to be higher than the cost that is involved in creating that value. So when you design a business model, when you design your business model for your startup, for your company, for your product, that business model has to be profitable, because a great product without profit is a hobby. And for those who are engineers, if you build a product and people are using it and you're not making any profit, you just have a hobby. You have an app that is out there. You can also build a product. You have a revenue model. You have a business model that is generating revenue, but that revenue is not up to the cost that you're building or you're spending on that product. It means that just calculating revenue is vanity. You need to look at profit. It's only when you're making profit that that business makes sense. That's why they say profit is sanity. Remember, business model is your company's plan for making a profit. It's not your company's plan for generating revenue, because you can generate revenue that is less than the cost of production. So it is your company's plan to making profit. Now, in this our webinars, we've been talking about the business model Canva, and I just want to bring this back on this slide about the business model Canva and why it's important, why it is important in this webinar. The business model Canva shows the plan on how you create the value, on how you deliver the value, on how you capture the value, right? It shows you your company's plan of becoming profitable. And the business model Canva has 9 blocks. The first block is the customer segment. Who are your target customers? On your right of this slide, you are going to see the business model Canva of Uber. Most of you know Uber. It has the same business model like Yango, for those of you who take Yango. Customer segment. If we look at the customer segment of Uber, right? Customer is a critical component. Same is the case with the drivers, general public regulators, right? Channels, right? Value proposition, right? For drivers, ease in getting started, opportunity to earn, ease in accessing more passengers, freedom to choose their hours of work. For riders, safety and security, chance to avail services with lower prices than the normal taxi service, convenient with easier transaction. Channels, word of mouth, social media, voucher, digital ads, paid ads, media coverage. Customer relationship, right? Customer is critical component. Same is the case with the driver, general public regulators. Revenue streams, ride transaction fees, license fee, Uber Eats, advertisement, delivery fee, sharing revenue. Key activities, right? Platform development and enhancement, marketing, sales promotion to acquire new customer, communication with the driver, customers, and partners. Key resources, right? Network, the drivers and the riders, platform, the apps, technology talent, improving algorithm and data analysis, brand image. Key partners, drivers, lobbyists, investors, other partners. Cost structure, customer acquisition costs, legal and settlement costs, insurance costs, research and development, lobbying and compliance, platform maintenance, infrastructure costs, customer support. The business model Canva gives you a Canva where you can detail out your business model of how you create, how you deliver, and how you capture value. And here is an example of a field business model Canva of Uber, one of the unicorns in the world of ride hailing. It has the same model as Yango. It has the same model as Bolt, right? And this is the Canva that helps you This is the canvas that helps you to capture value. Sustainability means that um, your company can keep growing, can stay alive, right? And sustainability means that you have a way of generating or capturing value or generating money that keep your business alive and keep going, right? So you have a way of keep generating money and keep capturing value that keeps your business alive. The company is going. Scalability means that from one, you can go to 10, you can go to 20, you can go to 100. Your model ensures that you can live from one customer to 10 customer, from 10 customer to 100 customer, right? Sustainability, that you have the capability of staying alive as a business to keep running. Scalability means that you have the ability to grow exponentially from 1 to 10, from 10 to 100, from 100 to 1,000. The core question of value proposition is, why should customer choose you? Why should the customer choose you? When you're designing your business model, it's profitable business model, and that you need to have a value proposition. And the most important question that you ask yourself is, why should customer choose you? So you must address the problem, solve the specific benefit that the customer have, and how you differentiate yourself from other people who are trying to solve that same problem. Remember, the most important question is, why should customer choose you or your business or your solution? And when you are asking yourself that question, you should remember that you need to be able to state clearly the problem that you're solving, the specific benefit to the customer, and how you're different from anybody that is trying to solve that same problem. For example, for Uber, they say you tap a button, you get a ride, which is cheaper and faster than a taxi. You tap a button, you get a ride, it is cheaper and faster than a taxi. That is the value proposition of Uber. And in that value proposition, you see clearly the gain, the product and the services, and the pain reliever for a customer. You tap a button, you get a ride, it is cheaper and faster than taxi. Every startup or business must clearly state their value proposition in one sentence. Like Uber, you tap a button, you get a ride, cheaper and faster than taxi. If your value proposition is not that simple, then you have not clearly presented the problem that is tough, the specific benefit to the users, and how you're different. Okay. And once you design your business model, one of the key things to look at is your customer segment and channels. And that brings you back to things like the customer persona. When you're looking at the customer segment, you need to look at the customer persona. And you want to put a key emphasis on early adopters. One, you want to decide if it is a niche market versus a mass market. And that is for customer segment. And when you're deciding your early adopters, you want to figure out what their persona, which is the picture that you see on the right, where you have pain points of the person, their values, their goals, their source of information, whether it's on social media, LinkedIn, blogs. You want to check if they are employed by company or what is their profession. You want to check their demographics, their age, their location, their status. You also want to check their objection, right? Once you are able to identify that, then you have identified your customer persona, the kind of people that are going to be your early adopters. And you need to decide, is this a niche market, which means that is it a small market of a particular people doing, having this kind of problem, or is it a mass market, which is everybody has the problem? A niche market is a set of people that have a problem. A mass market is everybody have this problem, right? And channels that you want to look in is either social media, word of mouth, or partnership. So once you're designing your business model, you need to be careful about the customer segment and the channels that you're going to deliver value to the customer. You need to be able to ask yourself, who are our first 100 customers, right? Who are our first 100 customers? Who are our early adopters, right? For example, you have a startup like Paystack in Nigeria. When they started, they targeted small online merchants. They did not target banks. They did not say that we're going to go to banks. Banks were not the early adopters. The early adopters were small online merchants who could quickly adopt their solution, integrate it, and receive payments online. So when you start, you need to find your early adopters and you need to decide if it's a niche market or a mass market. And you need to figure out your channels, either it's social media, word of mouth, or partnership. Okay, now we talk about revenue streams and what are the different types of revenue streams, right? A couple of type of revenue stream is subscription. Okay, so some people pay you monthly or weekly or daily or yearly. Another type is transaction fee. A customer carry a transaction and you take a fee from that transaction. The other part is licenses. You pay for a license per person, per group, per team. Another option is ads, right? You have customer base and companies pay you to display your ads to those customers. But the key about designing a profitable business model is that multiple revenue stream build resilience or increase resilience for the startup. If you have more than one way of making money, then your startup has a high chance of succeeding than a startup that has just one way of making money. If you generate revenue and the revenue is lower than your cost, then your business is not profitable. If you generate revenue and your revenue is higher than your cost, then your business is profitable. And every good business model should show you how to be profitable, not just to generate revenue. To be able to make sure that you're profitable, it is important that startup understand their cost, where you spend money. And that cost is fixed cost and it is variable cost. For example, example cost for startup is things like hosting, salary, marketing, operation. Then on the right, I give you a little bit of explanation about fixed costs and variable costs. Fixed costs stay the same regardless of your business activity. For example, if you have a business, you will always pay rent no matter what is happening. You will pay salaries no matter what is happening. If you have loans, you will pay them. If you have insurance, you will pay. You will pay taxes. Okay. Variable costs, they fluctuate with the level of business activity. For example, raw materials, you buy them based on how business activity is going. Sales commission, you give them based on how much sales is being done. Utilities, you pay per how much you use. Shipping, you pay per how much you use. So those things are variable, right? Fixed costs do not change with production or sales. The variable costs change based on production or sales. Fixed costs are predictable, but they can strain cash flow in a slow period because whether you're making money or not, you will pay rent. Whether you're making money or not, you will pay taxes, insurance. Variable costs are more flexible with cash flow as it can drop when sales are low or it can increase when sales are high. Okay? Okay. Now let's talk about the profitability equation. What is profit? If you have to design a business model that is profitable, what is profit? Profit is revenue minus your costs. You have costs that you incur to do the business, and you have revenue that you generate from offering value to the customer. For you to be profitable, your revenue has to be higher than your cost. And to be able to know the details in the profitability equation, you need to understand the key metrics of the profitability equation. The first one to understand is your customer acquisition cost. How much does it cost you to have one customer? As a startup, you need to know that value. The second is your lifetime value. What is the value in monetary terms for a customer from the day they enter your service or your platform to the day that they leave? And the last is the contribution margin. What is the margin between your cost and your value and your lifetime value, right? So if you look at the graph of cost and time period, the customer lifetime value should go up and the customer acquisition cost should go down. If that is the case, then your business is profitable and it gives you the graph on the right. We're going to go deeper into this in the upcoming slide. But before we get to that, I want to give you a case study of MTN Momo, which most of you know because we use it every day. How do they make revenue? They make revenue from transaction fees, they make revenue from commission, and they make revenue from partnership. What are their main costs? They spend on their agent network. The agents that you see in the yellow boxes across the street, for them to manage their agent network, they have to spend on it. They spend on the platform maintenance on the Momo platform. What are their profit level? Scale plus partnerships reduce cost per user, right? If they have so many customers and they have so many partners like Momo kiosks, this reduces their cost per user, right? So from this case study, you realize that you see their clear revenue, where they make money, you see their costs, where they make money, and you see their profit level. They have scale, they have partnership that reduce their cost per user. It means that what? Yeah. Revenue minus cost equal to profit. It means that their business model works. Their business model is a profitable business model. As a startup, you need to figure out a profitable business model. If you do not figure out a profitable business model, you do not have a business, because whatever you have is not sustainable. And if it is not sustainable, it means that the startup is going to die. If you are not sustainable, it means that your cost is higher than your revenue. If you're sustainable, it means that your cost is lower than your revenue. It means that you can cover all your costs and still have extra money for you to grow, invest, and scale. If you don't have profit, you cannot scale, because for you to scale, you need profit.
Pour l'estimation des revenus, du moins de la valeur apportée, est-ce qu'on fait des prévisions chiffrées pour les présenter aux investisseurs, ou alors ce que je veux savoir, c'est quand est-ce qu'on fait ces estimations-là? Est-ce que c'est avant de se lancer, ou alors c'est peut-être pendant qu'on a lancé, qu'on essaie de voir combien est-ce que ça donne, ou bien c'est après qu'on ait les chiffres?
En tant que startup, quand tu commences, tu as des prévisions. Tu as des prévisions qui, sur la base de votre recherche, tu as sorti avec. Mais quand vous entrez dans le marché, vous commencez à parler avec les utilisateurs, cette prévision va changer. Parce que votre business model va changer en fonction de ce qui se passe sur le terrain. Parce qu'une startup, on ne développe pas dans la maison ou dans le bureau. C'est dehors avec les utilisateurs, avec les clients. Donc, vous avez une prévision qui est version 1 quand vous commencez, et cette prévision change en fonction de quels sont les feedbacks des clients ou des utilisateurs. Donc, au début, il y avait une prévision. Quand vous accélérer votre chemin avec les clients, vous aurez les différentes prévisions. Je ne sais pas si c'est clairement. The licensing option is um, licensing is another form of, I'll say, a subscription, right? You subscribe for a license. You have software today that you actually buy the license. For example, Microsoft, you buy the license, and they can tell you that this license is for one computer or this license is for 10 computer, right? Licenses is kind of like a subscription that you buy the license, right? And the license is, you buy the license till it expires, right? A license could be a lifetime license or it could be a license that expire every year. Subscription starts from a monthly subscription, right? It means that you pay every month. License means that you buy a license and that license have a set period that it expires. So there are companies that sell license. And that license is valid for different kinds of reasons. For example, um, Kaspersky, which is a antivirus, sells license for their software, and that could be valid for 12 computers for 1 year. And when that license expires, you need to buy a new one. What do you do after this? Okay. What do you do after this short workshop? The first one is you have to validate your pricing with real customers. For example, Mark, you're just starting, you have an idea, you have maybe a prototype, you need to go to the field to validate your pricing with real customer. You need to know if these customers are willing to pay this amount of money for your product or your service. The next thing is, once you validate this price, you need to be able to calculate how much you spend to get one customer acquisition cost. Do you pay transport? Do you pay this? Do you pay that? How much do you spend to get one customer? And your job as a startup is to always reduce the customer acquisition cost. The last thing for you is the customer lifetime value, which is the value of the lifetime value of the customer on your platform. What is the value from the day that the customer come to the day that the customer leave? And your job is to make sure that you increase that value. It means that you have to make sure that customers stay on your platform for long. And they're all methods that you can use to make sure that your customers stay on your platform for long, right? It could be good UX, it could be perks, it could be upselling different services and all of that. Okay. After that, what do you do next? The first thing for you to understand as a startup is that clear business model attract investor and sustain the startup. One. The second thing for you to know is that profitability is a journey, right? But you need to have clarity from the beginning. If you're designing your business model and your business, profitability is a journey. It means that you can start generating revenue today, but you are not profitable. Probably your revenue is less than or is less than your cost. But you need to have clarity of how you are going to be profitable in the future.